Hi, one of my videos that constantly still gets views even though it's old is a blocking tutorial. And since people are clearly searching for information on how to block, I thought I would sort of make an upgraded version of that. It's not an updated version since blocking is still done the same way, or at least I do. So yeah, if you like your tutorials to have no talking and just be straight to the point, you can watch the old one here. But I thought I would do one with a bit more of an explanation of why the things are done the way they are done. And I'm gonna use this thing that I just found off yesterday. This is the Imbolc shawl. It's the third shawl in my seasonal shawl series. So this is what it looks like off the needles. I haven't bound off the yarn ends or anything yet, so it's completely unfinished. So as you can see, the edges are, let me just lay this out, it's easier that way. So it's completely straight off the needles, nothing's been done to it. All the yarn ends are still there, and as you can see, the cables are pulling in. The edges are curling, and it's pretty, but there's potential for so much more. So this is what blocking helps with. To block this shawl, I've come to my somewhat dark bathroom, but that's where the magic happens, as you need water and lots of it. You can weave in the ends if you want to. I sometimes do, sometimes don't. It's a matter of preference whether you want them to be woven in beforehand, which is when they might slightly sort of disappear more into the net. The benefit of doing it after is that you can be sure that you haven't woven them in so tightly that it pulls in the knit anywhere. So without weaving them in, you have the maximum stretch possible or available to you. But let's start with the first step. So the first step is to take a basin or just fill a sink with about lukewarm water. Shouldn't feel too hot, doesn't need to be cold. If you want, you can mix in a bit of wool soap. It can be liquid or a bar form. You don't need a lot of it, and it's completely optional. I also have a bar of wool soap, and this is the form that I usually get all of my soap in. Hand soap, body soap, anything. I prefer the bar forms for environmental reasons, but I just had that old bottle still around, so I'm gonna use that up. And once you've got your basin filled with water, you can just gently start pressing the net into the water so that every bit of it soaks up water. And then just leave it there. Usually the instructions say for about 20 minutes. If I'm in a hurry, I sometimes make do with around 10. And sometimes I forget it and it sits there for 2 hours. But yeah, 20 minutes is the guideline because that is the time it usually takes for the wool fibers all to open up and soak some water in them. It also depends on the yarn that you use. So superwash yarns usually soak up water quite quickly. More natural fibers in a more natural state can take a bit longer since they have that lanolin coating still, if they have that lanolin coating still to sort of work as a water repellent. Thin knits soak up water quicker than heavy knits. So when you come back to your soaked net, just take a look. It's pretty easy to tell if it is water soaked or not. All right, so about half an hour has passed. So I'm now going to move this over to the sink, pour out the water, and gently squeeze the water out. So the idea here is to gently squeeze it as many times as needed for the excess water to come out, but don't twist it, don't lift it too high so that it drags the weight of the water drags it down. You don't want to put extra pressure on the fibers at this point. So twisting it or lifting it so that it stretches too much, but the weight of the water would or could possibly damage the fiber, since one of the natural characteristics of wool is that it has a memory. It tends to go back when stretched, it returns to the original shape. So with excess heat or too much stretching while it's wet might ruin that or might disturb that, making it lose its elasticity a little. After squeezing the water out, some people like to place the net on top of a dry towel and roll the towel up and then squeeze some more so that the towel absorbs more of the excess water in the net. I very, very rarely do that, but only if I'm in a real hurry to get the net dried up. So that is an optional step, but it's quite common. So in case you have heard it, it's very much a thing you can do. So the next step is then the actual blocking steps, and for that one I don't have anything photogenic. So I've got these sort of hopscotch playmats that I've just gotten from a random store near me. So these are some sort of foam. Yeah, they do have these numbers that come out. It's sometimes a bit of a nuisance. Sometimes I'm able to use them to make the area a bit larger. But the same material or similar material can be found in knitting stores where you can find sort of more beautiful blocking mats. They come in gorgeous colors and they do not have these pop out inserts in them. But this one was very cheap and it was easy to get my hands on. So this is what I have and this is what I'm going to use, and I apologize that it does not look pretty on camera. So I'm gonna lay these mats out here on my bathroom floor, and then I'm going to lay the knit on top of it. And what I do have are these knitting wires. These are by Knit Pro. Again, the container is not looking very pretty anymore. I've had these for several years. So there are 2 lengths of cables in here, and I'm gonna insert these on the edges of the net. And these are, I love these, so if you are going to purchase some knitting or some blocking equipment, I highly recommend the wires. They make getting neat edges a lot easier. But you can just use pins, and there are also these sort of longer pins called blocking combs that you can use. So have a look around, but you do need some sort of pins when you're blocking shawls, at least, because you do want them to grow from what they were on the needle, so stretched. And if you just spread it out without stretching with the needles, once it dries, it's going to compress. Maybe not as much as it was straight up the needles, but still a lot more. So you want it to stay put in the measurements that you stretch it to when drying to get that larger, more drapey shape. Oh, and meant to say that in addition to the blocking mats, you can use a mattress. I know that some people lift up their sort of top mattress and pin it on the bottom. You can use a pile of towels, anything basically that you can lay flat on and pin it to. So let's get blocking. As you can see, I have now created the shape that I need. This is a rectangular shawl, so I've just got a rectangular shape. Play around with the blocks to create a surface that you need for the shawl or whatever it is you're blocking. And I'm gonna take the wires and insert them to the edges. So when I insert, I just put them down and up, down and up, just through the edge stitches at roughly similar intervals. Okay, I've now placed the wires on all the edges, and now I'm going to use these blocking pins. These are just large pins that I will use to hold the wires in place. And I'm going to start with one of the long edges and pin that first, and then stretch the rest based on that. I am all done with the shawl, with the wires. Putting the actual pins in is a breeze. That's why I like them. You don't need a lot, and the edges are sort of easily straight. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there until it's dry, so I'll check on it tomorrow. Okay, so the shawl has now been drying for about 20 to 24 hours. And it is now completely dry. I can feel it with my hand. This morning we moved it out from the bathroom so that we could use the shower. The choice of living in a small home. But yeah, now it is completely dry and it's time to remove the pins and see the magic of blocking. Right, and here you can see the beautiful blocked shawl. I still need to weave in the ends for it to be completely presentable. So yeah, as you can see, I'm gonna play a comparison shot to what it was before. But as you can see, the cable pattern is now nicely evened out and fully visible. The edges are not curling in on the sides or at the end. And there's just this really nice flowiness and drapiness to the shawl. If you liked watching this video, found it helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you'd like to know more about the shawl that I was blocking, I've made a whole video about it on its own. It's called Imbolc and you can watch it next.